Okay, folks. We're able to figure out how to do it horizontal. Horizontal streaming. And I didn't even bother trying to fire up the computer. I just said the hell with it. Got some things to put away here. And then we'll go ahead and get started. All these items that have just encroached my work area. I don't know how many of you could do this. Have all this chaos everywhere. What we're going to start off with is one of the things I enjoy doing the least. All right. We're relatively clear of stuff at this point. And you're going to hear some background noise because we've got a full house here. Okay. I think we've cleared off enough stuff there that we're going to need these dirty things here because we're going to do some stuff that's kind of messy. And one of those things that I like doing the least is painting the stands because I don't like doing anything that I feel like anybody could do. I'd rather work on stuff that other people have trouble with and I'm good at. If it's something anybody can do, let somebody else do that. So, first stop, chocolate brown. Nope, leather brown. That's its kissing cousin. There's a chocolate brown. Two of them, I think. Maybe I got this down to one. Well, it'll be enough to do these stands, that's for sure. All right, so we're going to get a brush that we don't really care about a whole lot. Because they tend to get destroyed doing this. Probably more than anything else. And I'm on a little earlier than I normally am, but I didn't want to peter out. And we're just going to stream this way until enough time passes that it straightened itself out. I don't know whether it has to do with the connectivity issues happen with the solar flares, or I don't know what it is, but it just started being a problem every day. Okay, there's one. That's what we're going to put it on. We've got several of these stands to do because we've got the ones from the Panthers also to do. And we've got to put the base coat on all of these. And while that's drying, we got something completely different to work on. You got about a dozen of these to do. It's going to take a little bit of time. But this first coat is the one that takes the longest to do. Put these all next to each other. Yeah, so we're under bombardment from thunder also. Hopefully it doesn't get really bad or we'll have to stop. Probably won't be able to mess with this at all the rest of the evening. Takes a little bit of time to dry. What have we here? There we go. So we primed quite a few things yesterday. So that's what we're going to roll is into. We're going to do some buildings. And we'll see how they turned out. Including one that I've had a really long time. No, I don't know if the chat's working. Normally I don't think about it, but last week or so, I got disconnected. My feed got disconnected. I didn't even know about it. And I'm probably going to have to make myself a coffee because I already feel dragging down. Okay, that's these stands right here. I'm going to go grab a more caffeinated beverage and I will be right back. Sorry about that, but before 7 p.m. is too early to be falling asleep. So these are the stands that we have for the Shermans, and these other ones that I've probably waited way too long, and I'm going to hate myself, are the ones for the King Tiger, the Panthers, the big boys. So I'm going to go ahead and do them as well. That way they're already done. It's going to take a bit of time to dry. Is Chad up? All messages are visible. Well, not if there aren't any messages. All right. So you can see these actually have a white base because I actually had to use the evergreen stuff because they're longer than the shims that I have, which I'm damn near out. So I'm gonna have to switch to evergreen on everything. Which, the only difference is that, man, I'm really low on this stuff. Is this one? I got another one. Good. See, that sounds like a ketchup bottle, but I wouldn't know. I absolutely detest ketchup. Which, of course, was the worst thing about Canada when we went. Those people eat ketchup on everything. Ketchup chips, ketchup this, ketchup the other thing. If there's too much on this, I'll just transfer it over to one of the other bases then. And I could use craft paint for this, but the colors that I used were specifically that I got them specifically from the Flames of War site. And they referenced certain Vallejo paints. Yeah, I got too much on here, so I'm going to transfer it over here. And it was nice because you could see what the triad of colors, you could see what the base color is and the dry brushing on there. And you could see what the finished look looks like instead of trying them yourself with, failing trial and error. I've said it before, I don't like the game, but they've got some nice resources on their website. All right, let's go to this one. Yeah, we got a stack of these to do. And I probably waited too long to do that. These are going to be like stone trying to cut in here, but we've done it before. I'm sure we'll have to do it again. Yeah, we still have too much stuff here. That's no problem. We'll just bring it over. I just didn't want to miss the opportunity of squeezing those little bits out of that container, out of the bottle. I'm getting to the point though that I've become almost immune to caffeine. I'm not drinking that much. I'm probably drinking less than I ever have. And it's still just sometimes just can't stay awake. Hey Hoffman, I was hoping you'd be on here. I watched the first third or half of Godzilla minus one. Don't ask me how I saw it, but I was able to see it. And my daughter still is under the weather, so to speak. She had her wisdom teeth pulled out, so um, I'm like, I wanted to see it because I want to know about this hardware that you were talking about that's in there. And yeah, the messages disappear way too fast. So if I hadn't seen that, what did I think of it? I don't. The storyline that's happening along the way. Okay, let's break it down. I think the film quality is really good. I love the fact that it's in Japanese. I really like that because it's like guaranteed to have subtitles. Um, the storyline behind it about the girl and the just whatever. It just I've got one mechanic that says shoot the 20. The 20 millimeter can destroy everything. Um, it took a broadside of 8-inch shells and it didn't do anything. I like how they showed how it grew back. You're basically fucked then. There's nothing you can do. Yeah, the messages are disappearing way too fast. You're not a fan of the movie. Oh, I thought you were. I thought you were a fan of the movie. That heavy cruiser was fucking awesome. Yeah, that heavy cruiser was freaking. We need more of that. Just have heavy cruisers shelling each other. We just have a lot of things that are started. We've got 2 episodes left of Band of Brothers. We started watching that League of Ungentlemanly Warfare or something like that, and it's about what I expected it to be. And then she got her wisdom teeth pulled out, and she's just kind of been drugged is probably the wrong terminology, but she's been under the weather. So she's on day 3 or 4 or something like that. So she really didn't express a lot of interest in watching the Godzilla movie, and I watched half of it. I didn't start watching until about like 9 o'clock last night. So 20 millimeter can destroy everything. It took a broadside of 203 millimeter, and that didn't knock it down. I started thinking. I've said this before. I'm not really a fan of science fiction, but growing up when I did, I watched a lot of it because that's what was on. Lost in Space, Journey to the Bottom of the Sea, Johnny Quest. Um, what else? And even stuff like what was that show? $6 million Man? That's science fiction, right? We used to watch that stuff. Everything that's the kind of science fiction that we watched. Never saw Star Trek. It was already really old by the time I saw that. Man, these videos just show up too fast. They just your comments. So now I know how to go back there. Your fan and design some of the scenes don't like the other overacting Japan does. Yeah, some of it I didn't find the Japanese overacting to be too bad, but I know what you're talking about. Um, there was this. I've seen it in several movies, and I've commented on it before. There was this one of the Kurosawa movies called Kagemusha. I don't remember exactly what the plot is, but um, it's the same character, which is that Mifune guy, who's in everything, plays like a dual character, if I remember correctly. And there's just scenes where he goes from one extreme to he goes from like a badass to basically a jackass. And I don't know whether that's a stylistic thing, that's an Asian style or something like that. That I'm sure there's things like that in Western cinema that are annoying, equally annoying to people from the Eastern Hemisphere. But there's another movie called Warring States, and I don't know if it's a Chinese production, but basically this is a kind of like the central character is this one guy who's an advisor for that supposedly Sun Tzu is based on. There's kind of, if you look into Sun Tzu, there's still kind of there's not people on the fence thinking that he wasn't necessarily a guy, that he was really a combination of different folks. And one of the guys he was a combination is this one guy named Sun Bin. And Sun Bin was a guy that was, an advisor type guy to one of the kings, one of the rulers of China when it was split. And he basically ended up being crippled by his master. And same thing, the character goes through like really wise, serious, and then he's like acting like Jar Jar Binks. Without the stupid accent, of course, of Jar Jar Binks. But it's that kind of extreme. I don't know if that is just a stylistic thing that's done in Eastern cinema, but I find it very annoying. And it's just very hard to do stuff like that. I've seen many samurai films and things like that, and that's what it is. You got some guy who's just a total badass, and then okay, everybody leave court, and in the back behind, he's like, dancing around like a freaking like he's his own jester, and I find it very difficult. You've been watching World War II lectures. I watched some stuff on the Japanese aircraft design in 42, 43 Europe. Also saw a lecture about all the people Marshall fired, as in George C. Marshall. Lecture is a name that has a bad connotation. Because a lot of people are like, what the hell are you doing watching a lecture? I said, well, the coffee's working. That's good. And you're working too, having some kind of interaction is helpful. I took history for electives in college, but I took them because I wanted to learn shit, not to, that's what I take. I actually want to learn things. It's fun to learn stuff, like it's fun to read. I don't want to read what they assigned me in college or high school or earlier. I want to read what I want to read, but reading is fun, Same thing, learning is fun. History is fun. I'm not interested in all history, but lectures, yeah, I've listened to several. Oh, dear God, this is not mixed up well. Holy pink. George C. Marshall, remember correctly. You've fired a lot of people, huh? You ever read any of those killing books by Bill O'Reilly? I've listened to two of them, the Patton one and the Reagan one. And the Patton one could have been better. The Reagan one was really good because there's stuff I didn't know about him at all. And I'm just assuming that, it's been long enough that, come on, mix up, dude. But you said Marshall, that reminded me of Patton. There we go. Let's get some of those on there. Normally I'd probably listen to a lecture. I probably wouldn't want to read a book about Marshall because it's just too strategic minded. I'd rather talk about, those aircraft designs. That sounds interesting. No, I've tried Carlin out, but I think I prefer lectures. It takes him a long time to get started sometimes. And and the thing about Dan Carlin that I don't, if there's one thing Dan Carlin that I don't like is he uses a shitload of quotes and he interrupts himself with the quotes, with da 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 da, quote end quote. He says that a lot. I have this book on the Battle of Jutland that's the same thing that it interrupts itself when it talks about the distance. I mean, this happens all the time between ships. It can't decide whether to do yards or meters. And, it describes things in one, and then after, immediately it says the conversion in meters. Look, yards and meters are damn near the same thing. Just pick one. So yeah, Dan Carlin really interrupts himself with a lot of quotes. But there's one guy that I thought did a really good lecture series. I'd never heard of him before. His name is Kenneth Harl. He's one of the big wig history professors at Tulane, and he did a whole 26-part thing on Alexander, and I thought it was really, really good. And but most people that speak have, and I'm sure I have them as well, have these little mannerisms that after a while, once you hear them, that's all you can hear. So he ends up all his things with and then when you do that, when you hear that, that's all you can hear. The guy that I like, I just said, like I said, I'm sure I probably have the same things, but none of my shit's scripted, so you never know what you're going to get. One of the guys I like to listen to is Tick History, and he does this little sing song the way he does every sentence, and after a while, that's all you hear. But I still like Tick stuff. He does a few too many politics things, not current events politics, but political World War II stuff. And it's just not really what I'm interested in. There's no tactics in that shit. I didn't come here for, that. Your dad would make fun of Harlan. You're well read, man. You know who he is. Yeah. Yeah, his Alexander thing was really good. I thought it was really good. Although some people, I just get the sneaky suspicion that they're not unbiased. Now all I can hear is my and I'm sure I say it like everybody else. It's your mouth going faster than your brain. Your brain's got to catch up. You think I'm slow in the brain? Yeah, sometimes. I don't know if Harl is really that unbiased. I find Tick is pretty unbiased. I think he is. He looks at things from multiple angles, but Harl, I think, is one of those guys that has a hard-on for the Mongols. Hey, they were really good at some stuff, but I'm not a fan of them. He was also very pro-Turkish, but hey, I'll take the Turks over the Mongols all day long. He also walks to corners of the carpet a lot. I haven't seen his lectures. I've only listened to him on Audible. Harl did a Vikings one too, but I think his Peloponnesian War series was one of his best. I haven't listened to that one. Incidentally, the first thing I ever listened to on Audible might have actually been a Naxos audiobook, was on the Peloponnesian War. And I like audiobooks because you know, if it's a subject that you like, you at least get to kind of round out some information and then maybe read more about it at your own pace. Your dad knew about Harl. The only thing history that my dad and I watched is there was this one guy, I think he's still alive, this one historian, and my dad was a history professor, which means, he's not as much fun at parties as I am. But I got my love of history from him, that's for sure. He wasn't a history professor, he was just a civil engineer. And he did like history as a hobby. And we're watching this program on the History Channel, and it was about, it's live TV, so you're watching whatever the hell was on there. This was many years ago, and they had a guy on there named Simon Schama, I think is what it is, and he's a British historian or something like that. And this guy is walking around like he wants to get out of, he is not comfortable in his own skin. He put on somebody else's skin, and it's about 2 sizes too small, and he's itching. And it's like, he's got roaches crawling under his skin or some shit like that. And I remember my dad watching him, and it's like, this guy's got, what did he say, tell me in Spanish? He said, this guy's got like something up his ass and it's itching. And it was just hilarious. It just had to be there. But he was so freaking distracting. And he just speaks in just this literary terminology. I mean, I'm not an unintelligent person by any stretch of the imagination, but don't speak to me in this Shakespearean literatory bullshit, which just dances around trying to get people to understand what the subject matter is. Anyways, I'm not a fan of Simon Schama. Sorry, dude. I'm sure you're a fine historian, but you just scratch that itch. I like Harl because he translates the boring way Donald Kagan writes into interesting lectures. I love Donald Kagan, but fudge, man, he gets into Athenian stone carvings of economic numbers and loses me. Donald Kagan. Why do I feel like I know who that is? It's not Keegan, is it? Who used to be on the History Channel. Actually, he died really early. He wasn't that old enough to freaking die. Like, I don't expect people to die until they're in their 80s or more, You dying before your 80s, man. In this day and age. Yeah, Harl's pretty easy to understand. I've listened to several of his. 4, 5, 6, something like that. The Alexander one was the best one that I listened. And then you got some guys that are just, the book is good, and the guy who is, it could be a lady, it just hasn't been in the past, that is just an excellent narrator. And that one is, and the best thing I've ever listened to, and I suspect nothing will ever beat it, is The Ghosts of Cannae. Because the story is good, and the narrator is superb. Now, old Dan Jones does a pretty good job of narrating his own stuff. So, his... what's the one that he narrated that I listened to? War of the Roses, which is super complicated, and he broke it down where it wasn't super complicated. But the book on the Plantagenets is an excellent book, but the narrator sucked ass. Or I didn't like him. He didn't want to be there, you know? Donald Kagan's four-series book on Peloponnesian War, probably most comprehensive in English. Old as Keegan is someone different. Okay, Keegan I know of. I don't know about Kagan. Oh wait, Donald Kagan just died in 2021 at 89. Peloponnesian War. Who's your favorite in the Peloponnesian War? It's funny, when I was in, that's what it used to teach us in sixth grade, right? That's when you encounter Peloponnesian War stuff on there. I always liked the Spartans. And then you read about them, like, I don't like these long-haired dudes anymore. I always like to play the Athenians. Except Alcibiades. He can go fly a kite up his ass sideways with barbed twine. Turn goes. Nothing worse than somebody being disloyal. What do you listen to? These by Dan Jones. Audible. Demosthenes. It was my favorite time period for a long time. He was an Athenian guy, wasn't he? Is he one of the guys that fought off the I feel like he's one of the guys that fought off the Persians. After a while, all these names start sounding the same. But you know, I took Western Civ, all kinds of stuff in college. It wasn't until I played DVA that I knew who Pyrrhus was. I'd heard of a Pyrrhic victory. I knew what a Pyrrhic victory was. I had no idea who the hell Pyrrhus was. No idea. Like I said, you know, if it wasn't for DVA, I learned a lot of history because of it. It forces you to kind of, well, it doesn't, it forced me to look into it. Other people, you know, probably don't care, you know, but I do. And I feel like I got a pretty good understanding of who's what successor, and, you know, that shit was like really complicated, you know. Hey, Marty. Not the orator, but Demosthenes did some interesting tactics and even got some Spartans to surrender. Yeah, there was two, right? Yeah, we don't care about the orators. We're a bad tactician, folks. I mean, you know, if you're a tactician that orates, that works too, but well, what's his name is known as an orator, but he actually was like a military commander sometimes. Give me a second. He's the guy that committed suicide in Rome. Cicero. Cicero was I thought, oh, this is just some lawyer dude that liked to. Nah, he was like a legitimate military commander, you know, before. So he just didn't sit around and sue people. You want to get me really uninterested about a subject? Let's talk about lawyers and suing people. Like, I'm out. Won't see me watching court TV. I'm going to go back to having duels or get lawsuits. Life was much simpler back then. You finished binge watching Shogun. Okay. Marty, which one is that one? Because there's multiple ones of them. I may just be getting confused. What channel is that one on? Is that the one that's on FX? Because I don't have FX. I swear somebody was telling me that the Shogun was about warring states. You know, that's what I want to see. I want to see one that has, you know, Nobunaga and has Shinden and Uesugi, and I want all that stuff, you know. I want all those commanders. I want all the samurai warriors guys in it. Not, you know, some white dude from over in Japan, visiting Japan. I just like, Come on, man. We're adults. We can do a show that is all Japanese people, and we can find it interesting. Not like, well, we got to add a Westerner so people will watch it. Come on, man. FX, but you watched it on Hulu. Well, I watched half of Godzilla, -1. Although they changed history, that ship wasn't around. It had already been test bombed. They changed history a little bit. 20mm destroys everything. It just took a broadside of 203mm. I don't think that 20mm on the Zero would have done anything. Okay. This is done. All right, so we're going to rinse this. This is going to take all night to dry, and then we'll go on to this next special project. Changed a lot of history. -1, it's almost alternate history. You like the new version more realistic than the earlier one? The new version of Shogun? Oh, come on. You had the hots for Richard Chamberlain. You know it. Marty, did you get sick from the convention? I swear like half of us got sick. Influenza type A. Wasn't a big deal, except I've had a cough for like freaking almost 3 weeks now. Annoying as shit. Anytime you eat something, it triggers like a cough. It's not real bad, but I'm going to collect all my boogers. I'm going to mail them out to South America. Give them back what we got. I'm sure it's some southern hemisphere disease that we got in Orlando. It was festering all over Orlando. Yes, I bet it was the food service. I don't think it was. I didn't have the food. Well, of all the places that we went, I think the place that we would have been, I don't think we got it from each other. We just have, we have the same germs, And I don't mean we're a sucking face or anything. I just mean, we're exposed to the same germs. And I think probably the most likely place that we got it from was probably that Waffle House. Not the Waffle House, that IHOP. Because everybody and their mother was there from every single place. And I didn't pre-dose. Emergency. But I didn't miss a single day of work. Doorknobs are the culprit. You freaking hate doorknobs. I think it's people not washing their fucking hands. All right, I bought more of this stuff. This one guy I almost said something to him. This happens to me again. I'm lighting somebody up. They had just lifted the whole mask thing at Universal Studios. So this would have been, I don't know, 2022, 21, something like that. And this kid goes in there, he looked like a gamer, goes into the freaking bathroom wearing a mask. And I'm like, all right, whatever. He wants to wear a mask, I don't care. But he goes in this stall, does his business and leaves the stall and doesn't wash his hands. But he's wearing a fucking mask. I'm like, people like that should just get an illness that kills them. Going into a stall and not washing a public stall and not washing your fucking hands. That is nasty. That is a failed morale check right there. Auto fail. All right. Next time I'm saying something to him. I'm getting old and ornery. I'm tired of people that nobody stands up to. Okay, so I found out some interesting bit of trivia. It's actually a sad bit of trivia. Looking up these buildings. So I've got these buildings I've had for, I don't know, 30 years. I've probably had this thing for 30 years. It's by a company called Hovels. And I'm like, it's high time to paint this thing. I've had it for a long ass time. But I wanted some inspiration on how to paint it. Sometimes it looks Italian. It's got these barrier things here. I was going to say it in Spanish, barandal. The little columns here. It almost looks kind of Italian. There's some brickwork on here. So I would like to do it with something that you'd be able to use it for France also. Okay, you can use it for Italy as well, but mainly use it for France. Where's the intervening floor? Did I leave it out there? Oh well, the show must go on. I'm not going to stop and do that right now. So I started looking up, I did a search for like destroyed French town in color. I don't want to see black and white photos. I want to find out what color brick and stuff you can use for this kind of stuff. And I come across this town, and I don't remember what the name of it is right now, and I can't look it up because I'm using my phone to film because, my Streamlabs doesn't like solar flares. And it disconnects me. And I come across this town, starts with an O, that I didn't know anything about. And apparently it was a town that right after Normandy, and right after the Normandy invasion, the SS were just walking through there, and the partisans went and took an SS guy and had him killed or something like that. Burned him alive or some shit like that. Got a hold of him. And the SS decided to come in and do reprisals on the town and basically murdered 642 villagers. And after the war, de Gaulle basically said, we're going to leave this as it is. And as a memory of these folks. And I didn't know anything about that, So anyways, I saw these pictures of this town. It's in full color. It's almost kind of like Pompeii, that they left everything. They tried to leave everything how it was. And of course, 80 years have gone by and things are falling down and that kind of stuff. Vines come in and they break all the stonework apart. But by and large, they've left the town as best they can in the condition that it was. They basically torched the whole town. They torched the whole town, destroyed it, took all the women and children, put them in a church, lit the church on fire, that kind of stuff, I didn't know anything about this. So, but it is in full color, and a lot of it looks similar to this. So we're going to do some brickwork here, and some stonework here, and see how that works. So I've had this thing a long ass time. The only thing I don't like about it is it doesn't have a true bottom. So I think what I'm going to do is I am going to take some plasticard or something and make it a little, and make it, it's not a problem here, because there's literally, and there is a floor that fits in here, and I guess I left it in the garage when I was priming it. Oradour-sur-Glane, there you go. That's the town. I found out about it today. Really sad story. If you're going to do reprisals, at least do reprisals on the partisans, not other people that are, innocent. What's a 6-year-old boy do? You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to crucify people, you got to make sure you crucify the right people, Anyhow, fuck the SS. But anyhow, it doesn't have a floor, so I think I'm going to create a false floor so that when you lift the bottom floor, you can still see what the footprint is of it on there. But I don't, sometimes you just have to paint things and not worry about all the details, because you could just get bogged down in all those details and you don't get anything done. So, and another thing that I picked up a long time ago, probably 25 years ago, I went to this Christmas shop about 15 miles south of here, and they had this. This is vinyl. It's rather thick vinyl, and it's got this cobblestone pattern on it. So once I figure out what the hell I'm going to do, I'm probably going to cut this in pieces and then dry brush it. And I think this would look pretty cool. But I did look at the pictures, and there's actually a curb. There's a curb in the town. So having this on a piece of plastic card or something like that, where it's raised a little bit, would actually work with that. Have I seen one of those cobblestone rollers? Yes, I have. Yeah, they look pretty cool. They look pretty cool. I'm that old guy who yells at kids when they don't wash before leaving the restroom. Good. Get him, Marty. Too bad you can't hit him with a ruler or something. Low intelligence stat. Who uses a public bathroom and doesn't wash their hands? No matter what you're doing in there. It's just yuck, you know? Like, yucky poo-poo. All right, I have to have more of this stuff. And I do, it's just not here. And what that I mean is, I don't really want to fuck this up. Yeah, something like this thickness. You know, something about this thickness. Have a little curb on there. Obviously, we want something plastic where it's not going to work. Well, let me, I don't want to go to the garage, but I guess I'll have to. I'm missing that middle piece. All right, I'll be right back in a jiff. It is just right around the corner. Okay, it's actually here somewhere. I primed too many things, and I can't find it. There's that damn cough that won't go away. Well, that's not going to keep me from doing it because it's just a wooden floor like this. All right, so we're going to do brickwork, and I want one of these because I want a dry brush on that. I don't want a dry brush on this thing, even though I get this material free. I like to. See, do I have this deck brown color? Whole red. That's what we're starting with. And we'll paint a couple different. Normally I use craft paint for this, but we've got a brush that we have an immense amount of confidence in. Probably not. Foam core set on top of the cobblestone. That could work. Yep. This actually has some nice detail on it. Now, this company's out of business. No, I'm sorry. I was getting mixed up with Queen Cesars. Queen Cesars I was talking about yesterday. I got some buildings by Queen Cesars, and those molds were actually bought by a company called Lancer Miniatures. And of course, in the UK, of course, why wouldn't it be in the UK? Everything's in the UK. You better keep it down over there. I'm gonna throw your ass out. Just like everything Marty probably wants comes from Japan. Everything I want is from the UK. Just can't seem to get away from that. And if we have a little bit of overspray on this, a little bit of overbrush, that's okay too. I'm going to pick out some individual. I haven't decided if I'm going to give it a wash and get inside in the middle and have a lighter color. It's counterintuitive for me to do a lighter color in a recess. I really don't like the way it looks. So I got a pretty good handle on what I like contrast wise and what works for me. I've seen even master builders. Who is it? Is it not Plasmo? The other guy did a video on how to. He built like his own night. What's his name? Night Shift. Yeah, he had built his own like foam core little recess thing. I think it was him. And he went in and put like sand and shifted the sand and really fine sand. And then he put this glue in there. And I'm like, that's just too much. That I don't need a method that takes even longer than I already do. I already spend way too much time on this. People think I'm like crazy as much time as I spend on this, but yeah, I don't need to make a method that takes even longer. Okay. And we're going to give this a wash in places where it goes. And this is 10 to 20 hours worth of work. It's going to be this building, probably. I never did finish the farm complex on the other one. I got it. I went far enough where I realized I know what I'm doing, and I know how many steps it took to do it. So maybe at some point I'll finish it. But that time will not be right now. I'm looking for specific stuff for this scenario. And there's some building ruins in it. And we got some brick showing up here. And anyways, so I looked at the brick in this building, in that town that's destroyed, and it's all red brick. Because red brick's not always red, And it's raining quite a bit. As long as we don't have lightning, no worries, mate. Lightning, I'm not a fan of. Miss anything? You enjoy making foam core buildings? Something relaxing about it. I started making some buildings 20 years ago and realized, man, that's just way too, and I still have them. So I was digging through my old stuff yesterday on the video, and I came across, no wonder I didn't get anything done. Trying to come up with our own rule set and paint buildings and it's hard to do that when you don't have when you're just bored. It's bored to do this by yourself. Normally I would just use craft paint, but I wanted to use this, and I may use it for some of the other brick colors. And then when we go over it, we're going to end up using something like this. We're going to end up dry brushing this with a light color like this, really, really lightly. So brick's dusty. Especially when that the roof disappeared into a dust cloud. All that stuff's everywhere. So it should look a little chalky at times in places. Now there is some stucco in some of these other places. I just want to make sure that we get the brick. Okay, this side's good. This side's good. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to do, but and it's going to be a lot lighter. Like, oh, it's awfully dark. Well, you got to start dark and work your way up. Okay. This area is good. Okay, here we need some work. The people would always say with miniatures, man, your miniatures are so damn dark. Well, it's because the lighting in here sucks. And I'm used to painting in like almost nearly perfect lighting. And generally we don't play in that. The convention does not necessarily have poor lighting, but still it's not like what we have here or at the other house. I have even better lighting here than at the other house. Hull red. I always hated ship models that showed you the hull. They didn't have waterline stuff when I was young. I would have jumped on that in a heartbeat. I've had this thing a long ass time. A little bit of brick down here. There's a couple little stones there, maybe a few of them showing here. This is good. Got some more brick showing here, the chimney. So yeah, I didn't know anything about that. I'm ashamed to say that I didn't know anything about that town. But my expertise in World War II is not on reprisals. Or the SS, for that matter. Nazi bastards. I came across an ad today that was a company that was making shirts. And I can't show this to you because I have it on my phone. I forget what the hell the name of this company is, but they basically had like this dress shirt. It was all cut like a dress shirt. Oh, we're going to lose power? I hope not. Well, we don't need that too. Anyways, this company, I better talk quick. This company makes dress shirts, but they made them in like SS P dot camouflage. And it was just like, why would you buy that? Like, you see it immediately, like, that's SS camo. I'm not wearing SS camo. It sends the wrong message. I don't even want to wear, a shirt with a German unit on it. Sends the wrong message. I forget what the name of it is. It was something 44. And I'm like, it was like a camouflage dress shirt. It was really weird. Okay, now the inside, we got little vestiges of brick left over here. Okay, is there any brickwork on the inside? I don't think that there is. I think it's the stucco still is left on there. Probably inaccurate. They probably should have had some brick showing, but they didn't. So I'm not gonna put brick where the master that created this mold didn't put it. They're the expert. I hope this turns out pretty good. If it does, I wouldn't mind getting more of these. Well, we got to use what we have already. I've had this stuff for like 30 freaking years, and it's due time to. I waited long enough to do this where I think my skills are worthy of doing some of this stuff. Now, I'm probably going to take a color like this, and I'm going to, before I start coloring the individual ones, I'm going to take some more of this all red. I'm going to lighten this up a little bit, and then just give it kind of a light dusting. I'm going to mix craft paint with Vallejo paint. Gotta be really careful. These light colors are really, really strong. Now, we need more now. It's not even that noticeable. There we go. That's the thing about dry brushing. Dry brushing works really well, but you can't just do one color and be like, oh, it doesn't come up with like those how the masters look like. Yeah, because they did like several different coats, and they went over it. And you know what? I'm probably trying to do this, going about this wrong, and I probably shouldn't add any of the core color to it. I think that's what we're gonna do. And this is super forgiving. Freaking bombardment. Yeah, that's better. And I don't know that I'm going to use the airbrush to weather any of this stuff. I mean, my airbrush skills are never going to be as good as my paint skills. And my airbrushing skills have improved a lot in the last year. Of course, that's not saying anything. They could have only gotten better. The nice thing about doing this dry brush kind of stuff, you hardly get any paint on yourself. You know, I mean, it's freaking dry by the time you put it on there. And we're going to come back with other colors and do this again. Probably not white. It ends up looking extra dusty if you use white. Nothing whiter than this color right here. coffee left? You guys all take a nap? You're going to trick it out with burned and fallen timbers on the debris inside? Probably not on the inside, but there are some 3D printed people that do 3D printed like piles of rubble, and I'm probably going to do it that way. There's companies that sell individual bricks, but it's really hard to gauge that you're getting the correct size. I mean, I've seen a couple of play areas that these guys did. I think both of them were a Stalingrad type thing, and it's just incredible. There must have been 1,000,000 bricks in it, and it's just like it looked better than the real Stalingrad. Well, the Stalingrad doesn't look good, but you know what I mean. It looked very, very. They did a really good job of that stuff. There's some real masters out there that are just like, man, you guys don't need to take these skills to the grave, man. You got to let other people know how to do all this stuff, because there's some real masters out there, and dry brushing is really effective, but you can't just do one color and go, oh, it doesn't look that good. I said, yeah, well, the guy that did it did all kinds of different stuff, and he put a wash in there, and we're probably going to end up doing a wash. We're going to pick out some brickwork here, and let's see if we can use any of these colors here that work. This is like a cranberry. Well, now more like this. Toasted terracotta. Toasted. That might be a little too bright. We'll see. This is just kind of free form. Where's my little water thingy here? Yeah, that's handy though. That's too good a quality brush for that. Let's put the readers on. Let's see what we got with this color here. Now you're still here looking in New Hampshire. My boss was hinting at me moving up there. Yeah, well, I'm sorry I didn't bring the that train game. I'll definitely do that next time. Okay, this looks a little bit like. Well, first of all, I went to the garage. I didn't get the other hand sanitizer thing. Killing this one here. Let's take that little bit of paint that was left over from yesterday off. There we go. I'm not the best about cleaning brushes, but they're all repairable. All right, let's neutralize this with some water. All right. And I think we're gonna need black. When in doubt, get black. No, I don't mind putting it on here. It doesn't need to be super wet. Here we go. If you mix your own colors, you can make little variations on it. Let's paint one brick and see what it looks like. Actually, do a little bit more contrast than that. There we go. Not even that noticeable. We're going to do at least 5 or 6 different colors on here. Just putting them in random places. Instead of doing all the walls, I'm going to do this one right here. Make sure I'm happy with how this looks before we go out and do other things. You get bogged down in the minutia. All right, let's take this same color and we're going to add some of this. What color was that? Sandstone. There we go. You're like, man, you're taking a lot of effort with this. I said, I want to play a game that looks like the pictures you see in those magazines from the UK. If not, I don't want to play the fucking game. If those people across the pond get to play a game that looks awesome, why don't I get to play a game that looks awesome? That's why I said I can't do DBA and do this. You know, I've only got time, effort to do one thing or the other. And you know, when you're done with this, you don't have to do it again. I'm not even going to worry about this part right here. We're just going to hit this building side. All right, now I'm going to take more of this sandstone. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna do a light wash where it gets into the recesses. I want the recesses to be dark, so it can show some contrast. Just think of it like it needs to be power washed. You know, all of the mortar ended up getting mold on it. Now we got here where we got some blast areas. We're going to treat those a little bit differently. And yeah, I'm kind of winning this. I've only done one building successfully, and I was pretty happy with it. I know how I want it to look like when I see it. All right? Let's keep going. Let's go one lighter than that. You know, we've got these lintels here also to do. This is about the perfect size brush. It's not too big and it's not too small. Where it's taking you a shitload of effort to do that. No. Now, the other buildings that I have by the Queens Hussars need a lot of cleanup. These actually don't need, they didn't need hardly any cleanup. But the other ones really need a lot of cleanup. Let's look at the inside of the windows. I don't need to spend a whole lot of effort on that, but I think those are good for, they're good for now. We can come and touch them up later. All right, let's grab us some white. Oh, that one's not open yet. No point in no point in not opening. No point in opening that one when we've got other ones to use. We'll squeeze out some of that. That should be plenty. You want this to look irregular. It suffered some damage. It suffered quite a bit of damage, actually. And of course, we're going to have this stonework on the end, which is going to be some kind of a gray type color. But we want to get one side of it where we need it to be. Once you get your 3D printer back up and running, I'm going to be printing buildings, some 700 scale buildings. Don't forget all the tanks. I haven't gotten to the part where there's some tanks on that Godzilla -1. They are coming, aren't they? Okay, there's some areas here that suffered a couple hits here. So we're going to come back and we're going to add some wash to those areas. But for now, I'm going to put some of this lighter in some places than others. And of course, the bottom, the dust and such that gets kicked off the road. And then I may even just come in here and say, you know what? Let's add a little bit more in some places. Like the top here, the top. There was something above this. This is going to become all like dusty and shit. Now let me stand away from this thing so I can take a look at it. Looking pretty good. It's far from done, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, here, you can see that a little bit better there. It's irregular. And we're still going to do some washing and stuff like that. We're going to put washes in specific places that we want the wash to be. Like these big hits, these big scour marks, so those things pop out a little bit more. But you can tell it's got an irregular appearance there. So. And of course, one thing we need to have handy, okay? We didn't have this handy since we're working on it. I didn't realize that was in my way. Is some of these folks, les partisans. So we got some, so we can compare for, what it looks like. Although it's kind of far away from it. Let's see if we can get in here closer. The building needs to look as good as the figures do. And of course, all my figures have names of them on there. Yeah, there was one shot of some tanks. It's weird though, because I think only one of that type was ever made, but they show 3 or 4. 2 were completed. Wasn't an Oni, was it? God, those things are ugly as shit. Anyhow. Hey, look, there's little brickwork here. Well, it doesn't match the same brick color. Well, we're not done yet. And here, I didn't add the light color in between them. Type 4 Cheeto. God, why do I feel like I know what that is? There's some good-looking Japanese tanks. The Shinhoto Chiha is a good-looking Japanese tank. The self-propelled gun thing that I have actually looks pretty good. Unfortunately, I only used it in the Philippines and the home island. As soon as they said something, they used it in the home island, that's a fancy way of saying it was never fucking used because it didn't land on Japan proper. All right. I have a feeling that the front of this, I'm going to do kind of a beige type stucco, a really light beige type stucco. And all this stonework is going to be a little bit more gray-like, okay? So I'm actually really happy with the way that looks. If you look that as opposed to here. And there's still more to do. So I think what I'm going to do at this point, while I have it fresh in my mind, is I'm going to go ahead and do this other brickwork the same way. I'm pretty happy with that. And I actually found a place that has more of these buildings, and they're pretty inexpensive. So, and they're in 20 millimeters. So I'm like, I'm the only idiot in the United States, or one of the few idiots in the United States that wants to do this scale. I'm double down on this scale. I'm not doing any other ones. All right, so the first thing I did, I got to remember, retrace my steps, is we went ahead and added this sandstone. Let's put some of this sandstone right there. Yep, we're going to need more of it. And we gave this a light dusting of it. We did not do that on this side yet. It's not about like dry brushing at one time. All right, I'm done. But why doesn't it look very good? Well, you didn't add any depth to it, dude. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing over here. And then we'll color the individual bricks. I think the Hago is just sexy cute. It might have been a piece of shit. Doesn't matter. It's a hell of a lot better looking than a Panzer 1. I think a Panzer 1's a really unattractive vehicle. Sorry for you Panzer 1 fans, but it's not a very attractive vehicle. In my opinion. Panzer 2s are, but not Panzer 1s. It's got ugly running gear. Those tiny Polish tanks, I think they're really cool too. You got good taste, man. The TKSs, the 7TP is like the best version of, it's the best looking version of that 6-ton Vickers tank or whatever it is. Wouldn't get one? Yeah, I don't want to get in any of them. I mean, Hetzers are cute, but man, I wouldn't want to get in one of those things. That looks like, get buried in one. Oh, there's Mother Nature on the rag making her noise. Especially this top section, because all this is bricks falling in pieces is going to create a lot of dust. And that dust is going to be a light color, and that's where it's going to be the lightest, is in this transition. And this is so freaking forgiving. And to be honest, the thing that I've done that has had the least effect is painting individual bricks. It just didn't do that much. I mean, I can't even tell them anymore. I got to look really hard. So what's that? That probably means I've got to use stronger colors. So let me let's put a little bit of this. What's this? Raw sienna. Man, it's early. I'm not going to really be able to see how this all ties in until I do the corners. Yeah, the Polish tanks have the 20mm gun in them too. And they make the bun carrier look long. They're almost like square. Like a square tuna can. TKS. Sounds like something you'd record a movie on. Hey, you want to watch a movie? Yeah, I got it recorded on TKS. We did the dry brushing overall before we did these lintels, I'm pretty sure. All right, and we used the darker color for that. Well, I was able to figure out how to do the camera sideways. You got to set all that stuff up before you get started. You can't change it in the middle of the fly. Let's do the bottom of this. Stand out more. Yeah, I don't know that painting the individual bricks that makes that much of a difference. I could kind of see them. All right, we still got some black now, but we can go ahead and use El Cheapo black. We don't have to use Vallejo for that. Oh, we already have one open. Some people paint miniatures with this stuff. I guess it could. It probably work just fine, but I just use this for terrain and backdrops. Oh, shit. And it's funny, this is the cheapest paint that I have, and it's the only one that's made in the United States. I think all these are US made. Yep. Yeah, this coughing is just absolutely driving me mad. The worst day was the second day, because I'd coughed so much the previous day that my chest was freaking sore as shit every time I cough. Now it's just annoying. But I had a cough like this several years ago. I swear it lasted like 3 months. All right, now let's add a little bit more of this. This was the color that we used on it, wasn't it? Yep. I always thought it'd be easier just to paint. It's easier to paint something that's in good shape than it is something that's damaged, but this is a lot more forgiving. And you could do, wet dry brushing, which is kind of what I'm doing here. Yeah, these are more sandstone colors. Yeah, I changed my mind, I guess, in the middle of it. Well, let's just even them out. This is actually super relaxing. Good thing, because I got a lot of this shit to do. Getting there. Now, I'm not going to make these here in a grayish color. I'm going to do sandstone. So this will probably work just fine. Just kind of doing a wet dry brush. And we're going to go over this 3 or 4 more times before we're done. This whole do it once and you're done, just that doesn't cut it. That doesn't cut it for me. I can do better. Okay. Then we're going to come over to this corner. Do the same thing. Okay, go to this part of the corner. Now that's gonna look less gray as we go on it. Can make a lot of different colors just using a couple of ones and just alternating the colors you highlight it with, adding black, browns, that kind of stuff. Am I going to go back to Streamlabs? I don't know if I can get it to work. When I was in college, I used those cheap paints for your Warhammer figures. No one knew either at the Games Workshop store. Yeah, it's a coverage issue. So because I'm doing more of a dry brush style, there's not as much of a coverage issue. Now, one thing that's interesting about craft paint is craft paint have more filler and less pigment. The pigment's the part that's expensive. I read this one time. So what happens is the filler is actually really flat. So craft paint tends to be flatter than the Vallejo or the AK. That's kind of an added bonus. I mean, I'm going to seal it anyways, but we've got a couple lintels here to do. Of course, we're going to do that after we do the stucco siding. All right, so let's go ahead and add more of this sandstone type color. This is a lot of fun to do, honestly, because I don't have a time when I have to have it done by. And if I get tired of this, I'll go do the stands, and you just got to keep mixing it up. Yeah, I used Streamlabs because it was easier than using the OBS. OBS was a pain in the ass; it wasn't working well. Now Streamlabs isn't working well. I'm just not smart enough to figure that out. I don't want to put the effort into doing that. This is what my experience is in doing this shit, not technical crap. Comes World War II stuff I don't know that I'm that interested in yet. Just been watching random lectures. So far, I'm interested in the stuff I didn't read too much about as a kid, like North Africa and Poland. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about Poland. I always liked North Africa. There's just so much stuff that's available now that wasn't available when I was a kid or 20 years ago. All right, now we're going to come in and go back to here, and let's add even more of this sandstone on here. And see, we're adding different levels of it that makes it look interesting. And each time you come in and add another level, you're using a little bit less paint than the color before it. So it becomes quicker. Oh, I don't know why I like to sit on my leg like that. There's a couple of things of World War II that just don't interest me at all, and that's island hopping stuff. I just am just not interested in it at all. It's all just seems too like I'm not interested in gaming. That might be a good solitaire game where everybody plays Marines or something like that, but it's like static defenses. It's like island hopping is like if you're doing like the landing at Normandy. Like I'm not interested in doing the landing at Normandy. It's too static. It's too static for one side. I'm talking like landing on the fucking beach. Landing craft stuff. From a gaming standpoint, it just doesn't do anything for me. Now, some people would do the whole foundry triad type thing. I think it's easier just to keep modifying your paints. I've done it so many times. I don't want to just keep opening up. I mean, I certainly could do it that way. I've got enough different colors, but tinkering with the colors is one of the things I actually enjoy doing. It's kind of putting your own spin on it. Now, let's go over this gently. By the way, did you get notified that this feed was running? Or did you not? This time I did you right, #1 on my homepage. Okay, so it did come up. Well, I was kind of conscious to make sure that I added some parameters before I got the feed going. I said I'm only on like day 2 of I'm only on day 2 of using this. So, or at least I was able to do it horizontal, but I can't flip it in the middle of filming it, but I don't know if I've got to uninstall Streamlabs and reinstall it. I don't know. I mean, all I do on my computer is pretty much just use it for the show. I figure that'll make it last longer. Won't have any viruses or anything like that. I don't even search with it or anything. And it still didn't want to work. Wanted to disconnect. That's really annoying for my viewers, and it's annoying for me because I have to stop what I'm doing and going back and working on, electronic shit that I don't have the skill set or desire to try to solve. As you can see, we're going back and forth over this. This is, I don't know, the 5th or the 6th color we've put on here. Now, let me step away from this and see what I'm looking at. Well, I'm not going to really get an idea what the hell this is going to look like until I get the inside painted and this other area here. But this part by itself, I'm pretty happy with it. Let's get some Le Pâtisson around here. Now you see the stuff with there's these blasts and stuff like that. We're going to add some wash to that, but that's a really controlled wash. I don't know, I think it's going to look pretty good. Doesn't look like whole red. I think YouTube penalizes you as well when you disconnect like you were a few days ago. Well, I didn't ask for it to get disconnected. Maybe they penalized me because I was talking bad about the man. Fuck them then. There's a little opening here. I'm not going to cut it out. We're just going to be mindful that that's where there's an opening to. Now, what is it with these trap doors? They put all these things where there's trap doors. So it's like, in case they come in here, we'll throw some boiling oil on them. I don't know. I hope this doesn't look like something you wouldn't see in France. I hope it doesn't turn into that. That's my only fear. I know this will turn out well. The problem is I'm looking at this and I don't want to be like, oh, this looks like Italy or, something like that. All right. Now, the problem with this, of course, is that I can't use this to search. I can't use this to search. So let's see. What's this little arrow do? Yeah, I better not touch that. Oh, I didn't ask it to disconnect. I better not mess with it. Well, I'm going to have to figure out what color I use for this. I want to get started in changing this. But this bit of trim here that's underneath it, I can see that being the same as like the windowsill. And same thing with these, like the details here on this floor. But this coating here needs to be something a little bit different to add something, maybe even like a beige or something like that. And, but anyhow, this is where we're going to stop for today. And, honestly, I think it's going to end up looking pretty good. I'm going to be happy with it. Of course, we got a wooden floor and stuff. But anyways, thanks for stopping by, folks. And we will catch you guys on the next one. Geez, all cattywampus. All right, folks, good night.